Hi everybody, my name's David Judge. I'm a vice president within the SAP Leonardo organization, and I focus on a number of automation topics, but the one that we're here to talk about is robotic process automation and what is SAP doing in this space. So one of the things that we've been very conscious of is that the market has been speaking quite loudly about this topic, and we've actually been asked aggressively about what is our answer to robotic process automation. And so many in the press and certainly on the analyst space have been viewing this as an incredibly important topic for enterprises now, and it's actually an incredibly important topic for us as well. So one of the great catchphrases that I like is that it's being viewed as the gateway drug to artificial intelligence. And so this is a fascinating thing to think about, but as we start to get towards artificial intelligence and what it can actually do for an enterprise, we start to think about what does this pragmatically mean? We need to bring it down from the science fiction and bring it towards what can enterprises do now. And so certainly one of these things is robotic process automation and the benefits that it can provide. In terms of popularity, it's one of the top search terms on Gartner right now, which means all of our customers are asking about it and considering it. It's one of the top 3 investment priorities for the C-suite. So just behind analytics, RPA figures incredibly prominently. And the market is exploding. So there's no clear market leader right now amongst some of the major competitors that we'll see in this space. And the market is actually planned to grow to 10 billion plus in the next year, approaching 15 billion in the next few years. So in terms of an area that's ripe for us to be able to enter, this is certainly one of them. And we have a terrific story to be able to tell. So there's not much more topic that's more central to the intelligent enterprise. We've spoken about this certainly at Sapphire and over the past couple of months. Automation figures prominently in this because we know that as businesses start to become more, let's say, self-driving, that they need to start to optimize the manual and repetitive activities that they have to do inside of their businesses. So one path is to be able to reduce that manual labor and ultimately that effort to be able to reclaim those dollars, to be able to do more high value add activities. And RPA, amongst conversational AI as well as embedded machine learning, are those 3 ways that we're actually going to arrive at that automation for the enterprise. And so the business case is extremely straightforward. We know from the studies, we know from having worked with customers and actually my own past in this space, that if a customer can automate between 50 and 60% of their manual recurring activities inside of their business, they can actually reclaim between 20 to 35% in terms of cost efficiencies, which is huge when we look at the large organizations that have sprung up to be able to perform this manual work. And very importantly, a reduction in between 50 and 60% of the actual time that it takes to execute those processes. So it's one of these unique opportunities where we can actually drive down cost, but actually drive up quality as well. So it's not purely an optimization activity. And so what are customers faced with today? They have these huge complex estates of applications in their back office and infrastructures in their back office, as well as in their front office. And they have the complexities of actually trying to manage processes that span multiple of these back office technologies. And because of this, it means that they've created these huge shared service organizations and huge contact center organizations that handle this complexity by doing this manual work on top of them. So it's very costly, it's very manual, and this causes lots of errors and ultimately redundant cost. So RPA came about a few years ago. It's only about a 5-year-old topic or so, to be able to address that manual activity. So if we just look at the name, robotic process automation. Is there software robots that are being created to perform the manual activities that at the human task layer that were previously done by these individuals within the shared services centers? So we think about anywhere between 2 and 12 systems are usually within one workflow, and usually this has caused that manual activity to occur for those individuals. Now, SAP, of course, is one of the major systems that's in customers' back offices, as you'd expect. Our ERP is in a huge variety of organizations. Also, as we start to look to the front of the house, towards the contact centers, where customers are actually working with their customers, and how can they create efficiencies there as well. So we're able to drive internal efficiencies as well as drive the ability for better servicing our customers' customers. So the challenge with RPA is that the way that it's set up is to act at that human layer, and the way that it integrates with those systems, that 2 to 12 systems that we talked about, is by going in through a very brittle and non-scalable way, which is to mimic that human user inside of the UI. So interacting with the front end of the systems, our systems, other people's systems, in this really imperformant and non-scalable way. And so what happens? What happens if a customer upgrades one of those systems and changes the UI, even superficially? It can actually break all of that layer of automation that's sat on top of those systems, which causes a huge challenge in trying to attain the business case. So customers with traditional RPA, from our competitors in this space, have had to make this decision between getting that benefit back, that operations expense reduction, and increasing, in fact, their technical debt in the back office, making things more complex and potentially more costly long term. So we think that we can actually provide an answer to this that gives customers both a stable as well as scalable way to be able to future-proof that automation within their estate, and to also be able to give them that great benefit of efficiency and reduction in cycle time and increase in quality. And the way we're doing this is by, at least for our own systems, for our own core ERP to start, we're able to integrate and provide APIs and pre-built skills and automation that are being expressed inside of those workflow designers inside of our own RPA solution. And so this allows for both our systems to upgrade as well as the automation to go along with it. And so our investments are on sort of two ends. First, the core platform, as well as the ability for all of our lines of business to be able to integrate their own skills inside of that RPA capability, which will create this leverage. Secondly, almost all of the RPA players out there right now are not leveraging conversational UIs as well as machine learning effectively, if at all. So we're starting from the very beginning by allowing a designer of a workflow to be able to use conversational experiences using our own conversational AI capability, as well as our own machine learning capabilities to infuse intelligence inside of these workflows. So we can now do things that were previously not possible. So think of image recognition or optical character recognition, being able to really address more unique types of automation scenarios. So this is giving us a true edge. This means that we are going to be truly differentiated from the other people in this space. And so as we start to think about this and break it out, what does it look like? What does the automation feel like? At the very front end, we'll be able to interact with humans in a very lifelike way using conversational AI, so that interaction layer. On the execution layer, we will have a very scalable and performant ability to automate at scale, again, across the majority of our systems. And we'll be able to optimize the activities within those automations by using machine learning. Those three things brought together really gives us this edge that will allow us to be able to truly be intelligent robotic process automation. And so where are we going to start first? Certainly we're starting with our systems, so I want to make it very clear that we both have an edge with our own systems in terms of being able to integrate well and to be able to scale because of that with our own systems. But we also need to be able to have a true RPA answer, which means that we need to be able to span outside of SAP systems to be able to look at other things that are in the CIO's estate. So it's very much within the RPA space. We need to be able to address both across our systems as well as other systems that might be within that workflow path. So end-to-end automation is critical. Being able to address across those technologies is where we're actually able to get the value to be able to truly take down that manual work. We'll be leveraging APIs, as I mentioned before, to be able to very stably integrate into our systems at the beginning. We'll also be providing out-of-the-box automation. So one of the challenges that customers have told us about inside this space is they don't know where to start. They don't know how to actually go about automating some of their processes. We have a unique ability to be able to provide this, and again, no other competitor in this space is actually doing so. They're providing, in essence, an empty box and telling customers good luck. We think that we can do better. And because of this, we can also start to look at adjacencies in the process mining side to be able to see how we can identify those processes also in a fairly automated way. So it's really the complete story here. Now, we are starting first with S4, as you'd expect, so in our core ERP capabilities. but we anticipate being able to move very rapidly out to the rest of the intelligent suite, so inside of HR and procurement and the remainder of our experiences. To be able to speed up our roadmap, you may have seen that we had recently announced an acquisition for a company called ContextTur. They're a very strong performer in the traditional RDA as well as RPA market. So this means that we can both do attended scenarios with their technology as well as unattended scenarios. Loosely, this is people working with the automation or the automation doing its own thing in an automated way, in a very sort of high scale, high volume way. Both of those are necessary to have a complete story. They've got a great set of capabilities that we're integrating into our broader intelligent robotic process automation offering, which we'll be launching in Q1. So the great thing about this is that they've come with over 100 customers, fairly established within Europe especially, some great examples across banking, insurance, energy, telecom, retail, some of the very best verticals to be able to focus on. RPA's value isn't just limited to the back office, although it's very high within the back office. So if we start to look at certainly areas like F&A and HR and procurement, as we mentioned before, very high value there, because that's where a lot of that manual work resides. But there's also some very industry-specific value that we think we can drive too. Just by way of example, you can see some very strong use cases within utilities, oil and gas, retail. It's almost every line of business, and it's almost every vertical that can benefit from RPA. The adoption rates have been different inside of each of those, so we've certainly seen banking and insurance be first movers. But this is actually our opportunity to be able to seize, because the analysts have actually said that there's something on the order of sub 2% actual adoption across the entirety of the enterprise. So although some might say that we have entered this market late, we think we've actually entered it at exactly the right time, when customers are truly primed and ready to be able to start to adopt these technologies for benefit. As we start to approach 2019, this will be one of the technologies that's the top of your customer's agenda. It will be able to help us to deliver the intelligent enterprise in a true way. Our stated goal of 50% automation of all the manual activities that surround our digital core, this is the way that we arrive at that goal. And so the way that we're doing this is one integrated offering rather than a whole bunch of technologies slapped together like some of our competitors. We're allowing customers to stay very relevant and future-proof with their core, which means as they upgrade systems, it doesn't break our automation on top, it actually comes with. And we're giving them this fundamental benefit of automation, this huge reduction in OpEx, this huge reduction in times to execute these processes and ultimately drive up quality. Thank you.